A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things Dstv Premiership action as I have a tactical pre-match analysis of Maritzburg United versus Kaizer Chiefs. So coming up then into this episode, the blue team will represent Maritzburg United, and the red team will represent Kaizer Chiefs. When you have a look at Maritzburg United, they currently do sit 15th within the Dstv Premiership log, and they also have 21 points. And then when you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs, they do sit 4th with 34 points. So when you have a look at Maritzburg United coming up into this encounter, it is very, very key then that they do at least get a point if they are not able to get all 3 points, especially considering then where they sit. So when you have a look at this Maritzburg United side then, with regards to their form, they've been doing very badly, considering the fact that they've lost their last 3 league games in a row. But when you have a look at it then from a structural perspective with Maritzburg United side, they do play currently a 4-2-3-1, but at times we have seen them also then play a back 3. But coming up into this encounter, I do foresee them then sticking with their 4-2-3-1. In goals then, they have been playing with Lina in goals, who has had very good performances for this Maritzburg United side. But against Cape Town City, he did go off because he did pick up an injury, and then we did see Ndlovu coming in for him. So it's going to be very interesting to see then with regards to who takes the gloves coming up into this encounter, especially considering then that the last time Maritzburg United did play against Kaizer Chiefs, it was a couple of weeks ago, and there hasn't been a report yet with regards to Lina's fitness. So it could be Lina if he is fit, and then if not, then you will see King Ndlovu starting in goals. At left back then, they start with Bradley Cross, and as the left side at centre back, they normally start with Moloi Sane, but with Moloi Sane, he did pick up his 4th yellow card against Cape Town City, so he is suspended coming up into this encounter. But I do foresee then Degude coming back within the heart of defence, and then as the right side at centre back, the last time out, they did start with Undengane, and then at right back, they did start with Upengu. But also key to note then within the heart of defense, there is also Makume as well, who could always come in to partner to Hude. I did also mention that they have played a back 3. So that is also an option then if they are looking then to alter things. And then when you move on then, right along within the heart of midfield, you do have Palace, and then you do have Rowan Human. Off the right-hand side, you've got Meza. As a 10, you've got Karim Kimvidu, and then off the right-hand side, you then have Uester. Up front, you've got Sakuna, but you do know that there's Pepper as well, who's an option, and then you also have Friday Samu. So when you have a look at this Maritzburg United side then in possession, so they do look to build up from very deep. What you would see then from Moloi Sane is that he'd be key then with regards to actually being the one then looking then to facilitate that build-up. So as opposed to traditionally having the goalkeeper looking to make the first pass in the first phase of build-up, Moloi Sane would be the one then that would be looking to take it off Lina. So sometimes Lina would just roll it across for him, and then he'd be key with regards to either carrying it and then looking for the pass, or he'd be looking for a pass deep within his own box. That's if he is pressed. And then what you would see then is Bengu on the right-hand side. He'd be a bit more advanced, and then you'd have the right side at centre-back opening up. So it would look somewhat like that. But now, with regards to Moloi Sane not being able to play this game, it does then become quite interesting if to see if they will be able then to continue with this type of build-up scheme, or maybe then they'll go back to their more natural build-up scheme with regards to having Lina there, having the left-sided centre-back there, and then having the right-sided centre-back there. But overall, when you do look at them then from a build-up perspective, they are a team then that do look to build up from very deep. And then what becomes key then with regards to their 2 pivots, with regards to Human and Palace as well, is that how they look to position themselves. So they look to position themselves just behind the first line of pressure with regards to the opposition first line of pressure, as they are looking then to take that ball from build-up phase, work it into consolidation, and then being able then to eventually progress that ball within the final third, especially considering Rowan Human then. He is the more creative of the two, with Palace being the more physical with regards to him getting stuck in. And then you do also have Travis Graham, who is also an option within the heart of midfield, but I do foresee them continuing their partnership at the base with regards to their double pivot. Also then, key to note with regards to their fullbacks. So their fullbacks in Bradley Cross as the left fullback, and then Bengo as the right fullback, is that they do tend to occupy deep pockets of space in the wide channels. So they are not fullbacks then who are very offensive, that you will see then looking then to get to the opposition half with regards getting to the bar line and being deep in opposition half. They do tend to hold deeper pockets of space, but sometimes then you will see them going all the way with regards to looking to the cross, but they do generally tend to spend more time then within the deep, wide, traditional pocket of space that you would see a fullback occupy. And then when you move on then right along and have a look at then their offensive scheme in possession. So what you would see then with regards to this Maritzburg United side, when they are in possession of the ball, let's just move them up like that. So I did mention that they do have conservative fullbacks. So sometimes what you will see then is the fullbacks holding the deeper pockets of space with regards to the more traditional pockets of space. And then you would see Rowan Human looking then to advance further forward, and then you would have Palace, who sits a bit deeper than Rowan Human. Sometimes then if Bradley Cross does look then to advance within that wide area, then that is somewhat of the shape you'd see. And then you'd have Bengu just looking to tuck in and ensure then that they do have numbers behind the ball with regard to their rest defense, and ensuring then that they can prepare then for those transitions, where then you would then have Human as well, who would be looking to sit just a little closer then to Palace. Sometimes you will see then Human breaking forward, and you'll see them adding numbers aggressively, and then they'll have 4 numbers then behind the ball. So they are a team then that do look to attack aggressively, that do look then to keep possession very well, and also then look to penetrate within the wide areas, especially when you look at their key players then in Wade Euster off the right-hand side and Ali Meza coming off the left-hand side. Sometimes they do swap flanks, and you would have them then looking to penetrate in the wide areas, especially considering then how good they are then in those wide areas with regards to 1v1s, especially when you look at Wade Euster with regards to his speed. With Ali Meza, when he does come off the left-hand side, he is looking to cut in. With Ali Meza then, he is creative, and he is also a goal threat. With Wade Euster, he's very quick and also creative with regards to looking to deliver those balls into the box. And then you've got Karim Kamvidu, who is their key player. With Karim Kamvidu then, what he offers this Maritzburg United side then is creativity and skill from a lateral perspective in between the lines. Very adept then at taking the ball within the left side of half space, right side of half space, within the central channels. Sometimes you see him drop a bit deeper, looking then to play make for this Maritzburg United side, as he is their most creative player, and he has created quite a number of chances for this Maritzburg United side. Also does look to break then into the box, where then he is looking then to score goals himself. And then when you have a look at this Maritzburg United side then with regards to how then they look to press. So they are quite situational in that regard. So they're not a team that is always going to look to press the opposition. So they do pick their moments with regards to how they'd be looking to press. And when you have a look then at their set pieces. So I did mention Wade Euster. So he does become very key with regards to their offensive set pieces, because he's got very good technical ability. So he is the one then who is key and responsible for delivering then those set pieces and those balls into the box. We do know that there is Keegan Ricci as well, who is very dangerous then from offensive set plays. That's if he is on the field. And then when you move on then right along, another strength of this Maritzburg United side is their offensive transitions. So when it comes to those offensive transitions and looking to hit teams successfully on the counter-attack, they're very good at that and quite adept, especially considering the type of players that they do have. Without the ball then, this Maritzburg United side do look to sit in a very compact 4-2-3-1 block. And what you would see then is them becoming very, very compact with regards to their 4-2-3-1 block. Sometimes it can be sort of a 4-4-2. That's if Karim does look to jump and join the striker. And also then, this is how then they would be looking to press as well. So sometimes what you would see then is them pressing with 2. Sometimes then it's them pressing with 1, with Karim then just behind the striker. So that is Maritzburg United then with regards to how they look. They do have quite a number of options. So in the forward line, you do have Sakuna, you do have Pepra. You also then have Friday Samu as well, who is also quite a key player whenever then he does come on for this Maritzburg United side. He does look to make an impact. Very strong, very physical presence as well. When you look at them, then their weaknesses. So with Maritzburg United, they've struggled with regards to dealing with offensive set plays. So they struggle then to defend those. So when the opposition have offensive set plays, they really, really struggle to defend those. So their defensive set plays have been really below par, because then they look vulnerable whenever then a cross is played from a set play. Even in open play, when a cross is played in, they do look vulnerable in that regard and looking then to defend those, especially considering now that they are without Moloisane, so they will have to make another defensive change and bring in another player within the back line. So when you have a look at their back line, it will be compromised yet again by virtue of not having their main starter within the back line. And then when you have a look at it, game management, they also do tend to struggle to manage games. Whenever then, if they do go ahead, teams are able then to get back into the game, or teams are able then to get one back. And that will be key then with regards to how they look to approach this game, especially considering that Kaizer Chiefs then are very good with regards to their offensive set plays. And it'll also be key then that they are able then to manage the game. That is if they do manage to go ahead. However, when we do move on then right along, let's have a look at this Kaizer Chiefs side. When you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs then, I did mention that they currently do sit 4th, and they do have 34 points currently. They do play then with the 4-2-3-1. In goals, they do have Brandon Peterson. And then this is where it becomes interesting, because like Maritzburg United and like Moloisane, Kaizer Chiefs will have to make changes within their defense, especially considering then that Ngezane has picked up his 4th yellow card, so he is suspended and he's not eligible to play this game. However, I do foresee them then starting with Solomons at right back, and then pushing Quinika into that right-sided centre-back role. As the left-sided centre-back, do see Dov starting. Then you've got Hlanti. When you have a look at their double pivot, you've got Sitebe, and then you've got Yusuf Mart. And then as the 10, you've got Du Shabalala, who's had very good performances and displays for this Kaizer Chiefs side. And then off the right-hand side, the last time out, they did start with Mahlatsi. Off the left-hand side, they started with Keegan Dolly. And then up front, they did start with Caleb. But with this Kaizer Chiefs side, they do also have a number of options with regards to their offensive line, because you do have Dupree, you also have Saile, who is coming back. And when you then move on then right along and have a look at their build-up with regards to them in possession. So when you have a look at this Kaizer Chiefs side, in the beginning of the season, they were a team that looked to build up from deep. But as of late, they don't build up from deep. They do tend to go long and then play off the second ball. So what you would see is Brandon Peterson looking to play it into one of his centre-backs. And then a lot of the times they are pressed in this situation. Because then from a build-up perspective, they are a side then that have shown frailties. Whenever then they are looking to build up from deep, they are prone to making that error, prone to making that mistake. So opposition do look to press Kaizer Chiefs and try then to force that error. Then you would have their centre-back just look to go long, and then they do play off the second ball. With regards to their offensive scheme in possession, what do they look like? So with this Kaizer Chiefs side then, what you would see then is a lot of the times you'd see both fullbacks looking to offer the width in Solomons and Hlanti, and then you'd have Caleb there, you'd have the striker there, you'd have the right winger just looking to tuck into that half space, and then you'd have Mdu pushing up. Then you would have their double pivot there. So a lot of the times with this Kaizer Chiefs side, what you would see is a 2-2-6 offensive scheme with regards to how aggressive they can become within the opposition half. Sometimes what you would see is Sitebe dropping a bit deeper in between the two centre-backs, then to facilitate sort of a 3-man build-up base with regards to how then they'd be looking to progress the ball. So that is what then you would see from this Kaizer Chiefs side. With regards then to this Kaizer Chiefs side and their strengths. So when you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs then, when it comes to offensive set plays. So offensive set plays, this Kaizer Chiefs side have scored a number of goals in recent games from those offensive set plays, with Keegan Dolly assisting Hlanti a couple of times. Then you've also had Ndu, who played a beautiful ball into the box for Ngezane to head away against Richards Bay. So when it comes into their offensive set plays, they have improved in that regard, and they do deliver very good balls into the box, and opposition do tend to look very vulnerable when they do defend against Kaizer Chiefs offensive set plays. So that is an area then that they could look to hurt this Maritzburg United side, especially considering that is a weakness for this Maritzburg United side. Also then, when you look at their offensive transitions with regards to the type of players they have, the speed that they have with regards to being able to exploit then from an offensive perspective that space in behind the defensive line. And then when you have a look at it then, a key player for this Kaizer Chiefs side will be Mdu with regards to how then he's looking to institute that creativity for this Kaizer Chiefs side. Is a player then who does tend to offer that lateral movement in between the lines for this Kaizer Chiefs side as their playmaker. Very comfortable then in tight pockets of space with the ball at his feet, taking players on. He's very quick, very skillful, very creative as well. And he is a player then that also has an eye for goal as well. When you do then have a look at this Kaizer Chiefs side, then out of possession, what do they look like? So out of possession, Kaizer Chiefs have mostly deployed a mid-block. So when you have a look at this Kaizer Chiefs side, out of possession, they do tend to sit within a mid-block. And when it comes to their pressing then, their pressing is quite disjointed. So sometimes they will look to press opposition, but I must say that their pressing isn't well orchestrated. Their pressing is very disjointed, and sometimes it is quite easy for the opposition to play through the press. But what becomes very interesting then with this Kaizer Chiefs side is that whenever they've played against Maritzburg, the first time out, they did play in the league at home when they beat Maritzburg United 3-0. The second time out, they did play in the Nedbank Cup at the Harry Gwala Stadium where they beat them 2-0. Is how they look to play with a very, very aggressive intensity, and how then they look to press Maritzburg United. As much as their pressing at times wasn't coordinated, there were times where they were able to force errors when they pressed this Maritzburg United side. So I do foresee them in this encounter looking to press this Maritzburg United side aggressively, especially considering that they look to build up from deep. So that is Kaizer Chiefs then with regards to how they look to go about things. With regards to their weaknesses, this Kaizer Chiefs side do then struggle with wide overloads, and also then when you have a look at the midfield. So from a defensive perspective, they don't play then with a natural defensive midfielder, so they have struggled in that area, and we have also seen them making those defensive mistakes. Overall then, I do think that Kaizer Chiefs will be able to overcome Maritzburg United in this encounter, as I do foresee it ending 2-1 in favor of Kaizer Chiefs. However, at home, do let me know who walks away with this one within the Dstv Premiership. Will it be Maritzburg United to walk away with all 3 points and see them then looking to better themselves within that relegation scrap? Or do you see Kaizer Chiefs walking away with 3 points and being able then to get a step closer, looking to compete for that second spot for the CAF Champions League? Or do you see them sharing the spoils a point apiece? Thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Liolo. Signing out.